It's been 2 years since we got married, and Wang Haoren's white moonlight has returned to the country after her divorce. That night, for the first time, he didn't come home on time, breaking his usual pattern. I remember back then, Wang Haoren's mother offered me 5 million to divorce him, but I refused. Now I've figured it out and am ready to make another demand, this time for no less than 10 million. After all, his daughter-in-law is now divorced, leaving the position vacant. I figured he'd be thrilled, so I decided to take action. At 6 a.m. the next day, I knocked on my mother-in-law's door. 10 minutes later, the entire Wang family was in an uproar. 2 hours later, Wang Haoren received the divorce papers I had already signed. That night, I was grinding and dancing cheek to cheek with a younger guy at a bar, while Wang Haoren's people shut the place down. Early the next morning, my mother-in-law stood at the door with a furious expression. Her messy curly hair frizzy and wild, glaring at me. "Xiao Qing," she said, "instead of preparing breakfast in the morning, what madness brings you here dressed like this? Don't you know how inappropriate this is? Are you trying to disgrace the Wang family?" She pointed at my short skirt, seething with anger. Wang Haoren liked women with long, straight black hair, dressed in white dresses, pure and elegant like a lotus flower. His mother said that as the Wang family's daughter-in-law, I had to uphold proper womanly virtues and avoid wearing clothes that exposed my arms or legs, lest I bring shame to the family. After 2 years of marriage, I had almost forgotten that I, Xiao Qing, also had such a pair of fair, beautiful legs. It was time to show them off for the benefit of the world, rather than letting them go to waste. Seeing that I didn't respond, she thought I was backing down again and began scolding me, pointing her finger at my nose. "Go upstairs right now and change your clothes, then go to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. We're having a Chinese breakfast this morning." "Hey," I raised my hand and brushed her index finger aside. "Mrs. Wang, let's talk business." "Chengyi, what did you call me?" She looked at me with a strange expression. "Xiao Qing, have you lost your mind?" A moment later, I was sitting on the sofa, with Mrs. Wang sitting across from me. Her hair was still slightly disheveled, and her face looked somewhat haggard and drooping. This once dignified and proper lady had already lost her composure for the third time. "You want me to give you 10 million, and then you'll divorce Haoren?" My sister-in-law, Wang Jingxian, also looked at me with disdain and contempt. "Xiao Qing, you loved my brother so much it drove you almost insane. How could you bear to divorce him?" I ignored her and spoke directly to Mrs. Wang. "That's right, 2 years ago. You offered me 5 million to leave Wang Haoren, and I refused. Now I've thought it through. Since Wang Haoren's worth doubled after marrying me, it's only fair that I double my price too. Don't you think? I think you've truly lost your mind. Where's Haoren? Call Haoren down for me." I crossed my arms and leaned back on the sofa, smiling faintly. "Don't bother calling. He didn't come home last night. If I'm not mistaken, Lin Bailu returned to the country yesterday, and they were probably together all night." Mrs. Wang's expression instantly turned incredibly vivid, while Wang Jingxian let out a surprised exclamation. "Ah, Sister Bailu is back. No wonder my brother was in such a good mood yesterday." Mrs. Wang shot her a glare, and Wang Jingxian quickly covered her mouth. "After all, marital infidelity doesn't sound good when it gets out. You always liked her a lot before. Now you have the chance to become mother and daughter. 1 million isn't too much. Right?" I tapped the table and pushed the divorce agreement toward him. "As long as you agree that I won't take a single cent of our marital property." Before I could finish, Mrs. Wang snatched the divorce agreement. Sure enough, it was written in black and white that I, Xiao Qing, would leave with nothing, asking for no money. Yet she looked at me suspiciously. "Xiao Qing, what kind of trick are you playing? I just can't believe you'd let go so easily." I shook my head and sighed. "How should I put it? It's like if your toothbrush was used to scrub a toilet. Would you still want it?" My analogy successfully disgusted him. He looked at me with disdain. "As expected of someone from a humble background, your words are crude and unfit for decent company. No wonder Haoren never liked you even after 2 years of marriage. How could you compare to Bailu? So now I'm giving you the chance, aren't I? Think it over carefully." "Mom, what is there to think about? This is a good thing. You should agree right away," Wang Jingxian urged repeatedly. She and Lin Bailu had an exceptionally close relationship, which was why she never liked me no matter what. But it didn't matter. Before, I let it slide because she was my sister-in-law, but from now on, we're strangers. And I won't hold back. 10 minutes later, I got the money, then went upstairs to grab the suitcase I had already packed. When I came back down, almost everyone in the Wang family was in the living room, including my stern and unsmiling father-in-law. He had actually been quite decent to me, never giving me a hard time, and he had shown consideration for my family. So, when leaving, I only said goodbye to him. Dad, this is the last time I'll call you that. Take care of yourself from now on. Your legs aren't good. Remember to keep warm in winter and have the servants make more soup for you. I saw my grey-haired father-in-law sigh softly, then he waved me over and, in front of everyone, handed me a card. This is also 1 million, it's not much, but take it, I thought to myself. Not bad. Love is gone, my husband is gone, but I have 2 million. I could spend half a day just counting the zeros. My own father would need 20 years to earn that much. I didn't refuse but accepted it graciously. Thank you, Dad. Shameless, Wang Jingxian muttered under her breath. By then, I was in a slightly better mood and didn't feel like arguing with her. After putting the card away and saying goodbye to my father-in-law, I pulled my suitcase and left directly. 2 hours later, the signed divorce agreement was delivered to his office by Wang Haoren's secretary, Mr. Wang. Mrs. Wang had someone send this over. She said if you sign it, to let her know. Wang Haoren was too busy to even look up. Put it aside for now. I don't have time, Mr. Wang. You should take a look first. The secretary whispered again. Wang Haoren felt a flicker of annoyance, but when his eyes fell on the bold black characters spelling divorce agreement on the white paper, his hand, holding the pen ready to sign, froze. He picked up the thin stack of papers, flipping through them a few times before his gaze finally settled on Xiaoqing's signature. Just moments later, Wang Haoren tossed the divorce agreement back to his secretary. Go call her. Tell her I'll be back at 8 tonight. But sir, aren't you hosting a welcome dinner for Miss Lin tonight? Wang Haoren's brows relaxed slightly. Go make the call. The secretary didn't dare hesitate and quickly agreed. Unfortunately, I had not only blocked Wang Haoren but also everyone around him. If the German Shepherd he kept had a social media account, I would have blocked that too, Mr. Wang. It seems Mrs. Wang has blocked me. The secretary's voice trembled slightly. Wang Haoren's expression darkened further. He picked up his phone and dialed Xiaoqing's number directly. Poor guy, he didn't even know he was the first to be blocked. Wang Haoren put down his phone, pulled out a cigarette case, and lit one. You can go, he dismissed the secretary. After finishing the cigarette, Wang Haoren collected his thoughts and prepared to get back to work, but Wang Jingxuan's call came through. Brother, super good news. You can finally ditch that clingy Xiaoqing and be with Bailujie properly. Brother, you'll never have to dread going home because of her again. Aren't you happy? Isn't it a surprise? Wang Jingxian, explain clearly, what's going on? What is Xiaoqing making a fuss about now? Wang Haoren stood up, irritably loosening his tie. He had only been away for 1 night, and this woman Xiaoqing had already stirred up such a mess. Had she never considered what would happen if he actually signed the divorce agreement? Brother, it's just that Xiaoqing asked Mom for 10 million and then agreed to divorce you. She's already left. But at least she was sensible. She only took her personal belongings and didn't touch any of the Wang family's things. Brother, I have to go share the good news with Bailujie right away, Wang Jingxian said cheerfully. But the call was suddenly cut off. Wang Haoren grabbed his suit jacket. Heading out. Where is Xiaoqing right now? He asked his secretary. Sorry, Mr. Wang, none of us know. Sorry, Mr. Wang. Mrs. Wang has blocked all our numbers. Wang Haoren felt a surge of anger rising, but being a composed man, he quickly steadied himself. Didn't she say she'd get back to him once he signed the papers? The secretary glanced at Wang Haoren's expression. Mrs. Wang said once you've signed, just meet her at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 a.m. on Monday. She definitely won't be late. Wang Haoren stood there, his face growing increasingly somber. After a moment, he finally raised his hand, took off his glasses, and handed them to his assistant. Go check on Mrs. Wang's whereabouts. Notify me as soon as you have any news. Yes, Mr. Wang. Prepare for the meeting. After saying this, Wang Haoren turned and went back into his office. This project was extremely important, related to the Wang family's development prospects for the next 5 years. He had already been working non-stop for days. He had been at it for several days, working through the night at the company just to get it done. Xiaoqin might be acting out, but he couldn't afford to play along. For Wang Haoran, work always came first. I don't care how much the Wang family is in turmoil, and I don't want to think about what Wang Haoran is feeling. Right now, I'm in the apartment my dad bought me before the wedding, hugging my teddy bear and crying non-stop. Ching ching. Have you cried enough yet? My best friend, Anyuan, couldn't help but speak up, handing me a tissue. I took the tissue, wiped my tears, and continued hugging the bear and crying. I'm divorced, I'm only 25. But I, Xiaoqing, have already become a divorced young woman. My value has plummeted. I'll definitely have to remarry in the future, but if I can't find someone richer than Wang Haoran, all the socialites in Rongqing will laugh at me to death. Let's go out for a drink tonight to unwind. My sister's bar just opened, and I heard it's filled with all the handsome guys in Rongqing. I lifted my tear-swollen eyes and looked at Anyuan. Are they really that handsome? Are they as handsome as Wang Haoran? Girl, even if they're not as handsome as him, at least they're younger, more energetic, and better at making you happy. Anyuan sounded a bit exasperated as she pulled me up from the floor. Go change into a pretty dress right now, then come out with me and let loose for once. I hesitated for a moment but agreed. It had been 2 years and 1 month since I last wore a sexy dress. The day I met Wang Haoran for the arranged date, my dad's people practically dragged me there. I was only 22 at the time, and Wang Haoran was almost 30, so I was especially unwilling. Sure enough, when we met, in the middle of a scorching summer, he was wearing a suit and tie, looking every bit the elite who had just stepped off the negotiation table. Meanwhile, I had pink highlights in my hair and was wearing a tube top and hot pants. When my dad saw me walk in with pink hair, he almost fainted on the spot. He tried to put in a good word for me in front of Wang Yangju, but he stumbled over his words and couldn't get a proper sentence out. Wang Haoran didn't react much. He stood up and politely pulled out a chair for me. I never wanted to get married in the first place, so I just did my own thing, eating and drinking as I pleased. I didn't act like a lady at all. My dad kept giving me looks, his eyes practically popping out of his head, but I pretended not to see. After dinner, Wang Haoran politely offered to walk me back. He was the serious, unsmiling type. While I was young and loved to have fun, so naturally I thought there was no chance. But I didn't expect Wang Haoran to ask me out several more times later. My father also gleefully said that he had a good impression of me and that this marriage might actually work out. I yelled at my dad, he likes me, but I don't like him, an old cow trying to eat young grass. My dad shut me down with one sentence. Fine, you don't like your rival Ju Tong, but you're eagerly trying to marry him and are already asking someone to arrange a match. Hearing that, I immediately panicked. Ju Tong likes her, wants to marry her. Then I definitely have to snatch him away. I started dating Wang Haoran. Originally, I planned to ride high over Ju Tong and finally hold my head up. But I never expected that a few months later, I would fall head over heels. I fell in love with Wang Haoran. A young girl's love burns like fire, overwhelming and fierce, consuming me until I was unrecognizable. He calmly and confidently took control of everything about me, even turning me into the person my father had always dreamed of transforming me into. Long black hair, always wearing long skirts, because he liked it. I happily changed, until later, I found a photo of him and Lin Bailu from their school days on his computer. In the photo, Lin Bailu lived up to her name, white dress, black hair, unbearably pure. There was clearly another boy in the photo, with Lin Bailu standing between the two, but I couldn't even see the third person's existence. My gaze was fixed on the way Lin Bailu shyly smiled at Wang Haoran, so it turned out Wang Haoran didn't like my black hair and white dresses because of me, Xiaoqing. So Wang Haoran also had a cliched white moonlight in his heart. But back then, I was so madly in love with him that I didn't even have the courage to confront him. I was afraid that if I asked, my happiness would burst like a soap bubble, popped by my own hands. Besides, Lin Bailu had already married someone else before Wang Haoran and I got married, so deep down, I had always felt fortunate. But now, Lin Bailu is divorced and back, thinking about how Wang Haoran comforted her last night. I couldn't help but start crying again. Anyuan quickly dragged me into the walk-in closet, pulled out an extremely tight little black dress, and shoved it into my hands. Then, mysteriously, she handed me a new bra. "Change into this. Look how thin you've gotten lately, you're practically flat-chested." Holding the clothes, I sniffled and looked at Anyuan. "Isn't this a bit inappropriate? At my age, shouldn't I be a little more dignified?" Anyuan nearly rolled her eyes to death. "Xiao Qing, you're only 25, a young woman of 25. If you want to be dignified, wait until you're 52. Okay, fine. Two 25-year-old young women, one in black, one in white, in strapless tight dresses and stiletto heels, swayed their way into the bar. At first, I was a bit shy, having been dignified and proper for 2 years. Suddenly dressing so hot and sexy felt a little awkward. But after one drink, my mindset changed. I had already signed the divorce papers, and Wang Haoran must have eagerly signed them too. "Next Monday, we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. After that, we'll have nothing to do with each other." Back then, he suddenly got married through a blind date. Was it actually because he was provoked by Lin Bailu getting married? I pursed my lips, held back the urge to cry, and let go of my hand. I even pulled my collar down a bit further, staggering unsteadily as I dragged a nuance straight into the dance floor. There were many men and women dancing closely in the dance floor, and soon I found myself indulging in the wild, carefree feeling. A handsome guy came over to strike up a conversation. I glanced at him and thought he looked pretty good, with eyes that somehow reminded me of Wang Haoran. I reached out and grabbed his collar, and he immediately wrapped his arm around my waist, dancing closely with me like everyone else in the dance floor. I wasn't quite used to being so close to a strange man and instinctively wanted to push his hand away, but the music suddenly stopped. Everyone looked over in surprise as a group of men in black suits, resembling bodyguards, swarmed into the bar. The waitstaff and bar security were all pushed into a corner, while the bodyguards surrounded the dance floor. "What's going on? Yeah, what's happening? Who are they trying to catch?" My drunkenness was instantly scared away. They were probably here for me. Because I had already spotted Wang Haoran striding through the crowd with his long legs. He wasn't wearing glasses, and his expression was icy cold. My heart instantly tightened into a knot, and I instinctively tried to hide behind others. But Wang Haoran's sharp gaze had already pierced through the crowd and landed on my face. I was too flustered to meet his eyes, so I turned around to run. "Xiao Qing." Wang Haoran called my name. I know him well enough. The angrier he is, the calmer his voice becomes. When I secretly drank after we first got married, he called my name the same way when he caught me. That night left a deep impression on me, and later I lay in bed for 2 whole days before I could get up. But I learned my lesson, and for a long time afterward, I was soft and obedient. Wang Haoran seemed quite pleased and showered me with expensive jewelry to cheer me up. My feet were rooted to the spot, and it was only then that I remembered the handsome guy still had his arm around my waist. In an instant, I felt my hair stand on end, and my whole body began to tremble. Wang Haoran frowned, his expression turning extremely unpleasant. He walked forward, and the bodyguards forcefully pushed aside the people in front of me. Then, his gaze slowly traveled from my face, down my slender neck and delicate collarbone, to my waist, so thin it seemed as if it could be held in one hand, or more precisely, to the handsome guy's hand. Sensing trouble, I was about to speak when Wang Haoran suddenly reached out, grabbed the handsome guy's wrist, and shoved him aside. A soft murmur rippled through the crowd, and I hunched my shoulders, my eyes darting nervously like a timid quail afraid of death. I was afraid of Wang Haoran's anger, or rather, because I loved him so much, I was especially attuned to his moods. When he was unhappy, it felt as if the sky were falling. But now we were divorced. At that thought, a sudden surge of courage came from somewhere, and I abruptly lifted my head to look at him. Our eyes met. In the dance hall, only a single beam of light shone down from above, illuminating my exposed, slender, and snow-white shoulders and back, leaving nothing hidden. Wang Haoran's assistants and bodyguards were all tactful. Not one dared to look at me, but tonight, I had truly been seen by many men. I had never seen such a terrifying expression on Wang Haoran's face, giving me the illusion that he was furious, as if his most precious treasure had been stolen. But Xiao Qing had never been his treasure. My eyes gradually reddened, and I fought back the sting in my heart, stubbornly raising my chin. "Mr. Wang, do you need something from me?" Wang Haoran's gaze was dark and severe as he looked at me for a few seconds. Suddenly, He took off his suit jacket, stepped forward, and wrapped it around me, even pulling the lapels tightly together, enveloping me completely. I twisted my body, trying to shake off his jacket, but with one arm, he held me firmly against his chest. Xiao Qing, whatever it is, let's talk about it at home first. I could sense Wang Haoran was trying to be patient with me. But that only made me feel more wronged. He had probably come looking for me only because he felt I was embarrassing him. After all, we hadn't finalized the divorce yet, and I was still technically his wife. Mr. Wang, I won't go back with you. I refused to leave, struggling hard to break free from his embrace. Wang Haoran's brow furrowed slightly. Through the suit jacket, he pressed down on my shoulder, preventing me from taking off his coat. Xiao Qing, how much longer are you going to keep this up? I'm not keeping anything up. I've already made up my mind. I've signed the divorce papers. Mr. Wang, can't you read? Or do you just not understand? The surroundings fell into a deathly silence, and even Wang Haoran's closest assistants looked at me with utter astonishment. I shook off his hand again, pulled his jacket off, and threw it back at him fiercely. So, we have nothing to do with each other anymore. Stop trying to control me. This move undoubtedly angered him, and his expression grew even colder. Deep down, I was terrified, afraid that by humiliating him, he might lose control and lash out at me. Even though we had been married for so long, he had never once spoken harshly to me. I bit my lip, stubbornly refusing to back down. But tears began to well up uncontrollably. It was all a Nuan's fault for putting such heavy makeup on me. I didn't dare let the tears fall, afraid my makeup would run and I'd look like a ghost, but I couldn't bring myself to look at Wang Haoran again. Just seeing him made me feel so wronged. Sigh. The moment I see him, my heart softens, and I can't bear to let go. He is just too handsome, especially when he's angry. It perfectly aligns with all my fantasies and preferences for men. Looking back now, there was a reason why I used to deliberately provoke him. Every time he would coldly unbutton his shirt, pin me against the wall with one hand, grip my jaw, and kiss me fiercely, saying, Xiao Qing, you just need me to teach you a lesson. Every time, my heart would flutter like a lovesick girl. Even after 2 years of marriage to Wang Haoran, I still feel as if I'm in the midst of a passionate romance, and my infatuation with him deepens day by day. He has a reserved nature and rarely smiles. My father says this is a sign of a mature and steady man, but I know he just doesn't like me. Well, it's not that he doesn't like me at all. As long as he's home and I'm not on my period, he wants me almost every night. I fulfill my marital duties. But what does that even mean? He's a man in his early 30s, in the prime of his life, and I, as his wife, am nothing more than a legally sanctioned tool for him. I am sinking deeper into this. Yet I am painfully aware that I am walking toward a cliff. If the day comes when he no longer wants me, I will shatter into pieces. I am afraid of pain and death, and now that I have 20 million, I have even more reason not to die. So, I must stay away from him and not let him bewitch me again. I held back my tears, took a deep breath, and looked away. If you have nothing else, Mr. Wang, please leave. A place like this doesn't suit someone of your status. Yes, ever since I married him. Everything, from the way I dress, my makeup, the tone of my voice, the extent of my smile, to the places I go, has been strictly regulated. The slightest mistake, and his mother would scold me for being too common, unworthy of him, and bringing shame to the Wang family. I haven't stepped into a bar in 2.5 years, but now I am no longer his wife. He has no right to control me anymore. Perhaps it was my teary-eyed expression that made Wang Haoran feel somewhat helpless. Xiao Qing, if you're upset with me, at least let me know why. How dare he ask me for a reason? He keeps photos with his first love on his computer. He used the Wang family's top legal team to help Lin Bailu with her international divorce case. On my birthday last year, he flew abroad, claiming he had an important meeting he couldn't miss. But then Wang Jingxian saw the photo Lin Bailu posted on her social media. While I was spending my birthday alone, he was having afternoon tea with Lin Bailu. He molded me into a second Lin Bailu to ease his longing for her. His heart belongs to another woman, yet he still insists on having me every night, tormenting me. For 2 years of marriage, he refused to let me get pregnant, saying I was still too young, still a child myself, and there was no rush to become a mother. In reality, it was to avoid complications. so he could easily discard me and be with the one he truly loves. On the very first day Lin Bailu returned to the country after her divorce, he didn't come home. Now, I have given him exactly what he wanted, yet he comes asking me for a reason. My heart is filled with grievances, but they are stuck in my throat, and all I can do is cry. Perhaps it was because I was crying so pitifully. Wang Haoran's attitude seemed to soften slightly. Ching, come home with me first, he said, stepping forward again and draping his suit jacket over me. I was trembling all over from crying, and I pushed him away fiercely one last time. Wang Haoran, don't touch me, it makes me sick. He didn't speak again, his face dark as he stared at me, the emotions in his eyes even more gloomy and terrifying. As if I were the one who had betrayed the marriage and brought a third party into it, I cried uncontrollably, not wanting to see him anymore. I turned around, grabbed a nuan, and stumbled away. Wang Haoran didn't chase after me. As I left, I heard his phone ring. The gentle yet piercing hello he answered with was undoubtedly from Lin Bailu, so they could have a carefree date tonight. I stayed at a nuan's place that night. After showering, I threw myself onto the bed, turned off my phone, cried my heart out, and then slept like a log. And Nuan understood me. Knowing I didn't want to be disturbed at a time like this, aside from bringing me food on time, she didn't say a word. On Monday morning, I got up early, showered, did my skincare, and changed into a red dress with thin straps. And Nuan had offered to take me to the Civil Affairs Bureau, but I declined. This was the last bit of connection between Wang Haoran and me. Even though we were going to get a divorce certificate, I wanted to handle it myself. I looked so carefree, my makeup full of vitality and youthful bounce, but no one knew how much I was hurting inside. Before leaving, I turned on my phone. There were many text messages, WeChat messages, and missed calls, but Wang Haoran had only sent me one WeChat message late the night before. Xiaoqing, I'll wait for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 a.m. on Monday. The moment I saw this message, I almost lost control of my emotions. My hand holding the phone trembled violently, but I held back the tears. I didn't want to redo my makeup. I was determined to look beautiful for my divorce. My nemesis, Ju Tong, was surely waiting to see me make a fool of myself. And that little bitch Wang Jingxian was probably rubbing her hands in anticipation too. Even as a divorced woman, I was going to be the most beautiful one in Rongqing. Actually, my relationship with Wang Jingxian wasn't that bad at first. After marrying Wang Haoran, we even went shopping together occasionally, and I would give her some clothes and jewelry. Once, she took a liking to the jade earrings Wang Haoran had given me and pestered me relentlessly until I gave them to her. I couldn't resist and reluctantly handed them over. Unexpectedly, when Wang Haoran saw her wearing those earrings, he said, "Give the earrings back to your sister-in-law. Your skin isn't as fair as hers. Jade doesn't suit you." With that one sentence, Wang Jingxian and I were completely at odds. It's easy for women to become sworn enemies. All it takes is one comment about how you're inferior to someone else, and even the closest friends can end up hating each other bitterly behind their backs. Over the past 2 years, Wang Jingxian has given me plenty of trouble, both openly and behind the scenes, and I've endured it all. But from now on, if he dares to provoke me, I'll make sure he regrets it. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions, then went downstairs and got into my car. I drove to the Civil Affairs Bureau, arriving just before 8:40. Wang Haoran is rigid and old-fashioned. If he says 9 o'clock, he won't be a minute off. Sure enough, at exactly 9, his Bentley pulled up at the entrance. He got out and walked straight toward my car. I put on my sunglasses and stepped out as well. Under the sunlight, my black hair, red lips, fair skin, and red dress made me look like a flame. Without even glancing at him, I headed into the Civil Affairs Bureau. Wang Haoran followed me into the hall, and only then did I realize that we were the only couple there to get a divorce today. Had Wang Haoran, with his usual fussiness, cleared the place out again. I remembered a Nuan whispering to me this morning that her sister's bar had been temporarily shut down on the grounds of allegedly undermining family harmony. It was such an unfair accusation, but with Wang Haoran pulling strings behind the scenes, there was nothing anyone could do. They had to close for now. A Nuan murmured that Wang Haoran's move seemed like a case of a man's fury for the sake of a beauty. It looked like he wasn't completely without feelings for me, but I scoffed inwardly. He and the Wang family were just determined to protect their reputation at all costs. Have you signed? I lifted my chin and asked him. Wang Haoran looked a bit worn. Why the sudden decision to divorce? He asked instead of answering. It's not sudden. I've been thinking about it for a long time, I replied calmly, now able to face him without emotion. Xiao Qing, have you fallen for someone else? Talk about the villain accusing others first. Clearly, he was the one who got involved with an old flame and stayed out all night. So how did it end up looking like I was the one who cheated first? Wang Haoran, don't you dare slander me. He looked at me calmly. If not, then why do you want a divorce? Do you really want me to expose your dirty secrets? I stomped my foot angrily. What dirty secrets? He raised an eyebrow slightly, his tone still indifferent. Shameless, utterly shameless. I could have bitten him to death. But at the mention of Lin Bailu, it was as if I'd been struck at my weakest point, and I fell silent instantly. I pursed my lips, my eyes reddening as I looked at him. Yes, because what does Lin Bailu have to do with her? She's back in the country after divorcing her husband, and you're following her bad example. Xiao Qing, I can indulge my wife's willfulness, occasional mischief, even causing trouble outside, but there are limits. He seemed somewhat weary, raising a hand to press his temples. You've made enough of a scene. You can still come back with me now. It felt as though I were watching my own heart being disdainfully tossed to the ground and then trampled underfoot. So, it's still me making a scene. He still thinks I'm being unreasonable. How can I make him understand? Wang Haoran, Xiao Qing doesn't want to love you anymore, doesn't want to be your wife anymore, doesn't want to be unloved by you, to not be held in your heart. But even now, seeing her slightly weary appearance, I still feel heartache. I watch her wearing the shirt I picked out, the tie I bought, even the underwear and socks I personally hand-washed. I've never even washed socks for my own father. I loved him so much. All he had to do was call me wife one more time, hold me one more time, and I would have given in without a fight, but he couldn't be bothered to humor me anymore. Lin Bailu is back. A man only has enough gentleness and patience for the woman he truly loves. Xiao Qing, how pitiful you are. Your husband doesn't love you. His affair with Lin Bailu is suffocating me. I took a deep breath, feeling a bit sorry for myself. Clinging to the last shred of my dignity, I lifted my chin, refusing to let myself lose my composure. Wang Haoran, how many times do I have to say it for you to understand? I want a divorce. There's no room for discussion. Xiao Qing, you'd better think this through. Divorce is no child's play. I know, Wang Haoran, from the moment I first brought up divorce with you. I've thought it through clearly, and I won't change my mind. He looked at me deeply, and after a moment, let out a light, self-mocking laugh. I didn't know why he suddenly laughed like that. I no longer had the energy to dwell on it, because he said, fine. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. Since I didn't want any of his assets, things were simple. When the staff stamped the green booklet, Wang Haoran took one last look at me. Xiao Qing, my mind was in a daze. Please hurry, I'm in a rush. He didn't speak again. We soon received the divorce certificates. I took mine, put on my sunglasses, and walked quickly outside. Wang Haoran seemed to be following behind me. Maybe I was overthinking it. After all, there was only one exit, so naturally, he had to take that route. I got into the car and drove away without glancing in his direction. It wasn't until I reached a crossroad, waiting at a red light, that I finally came to my senses. Looking at that green booklet, I completely broke down, gripping the steering wheel and sobbing uncontrollably. I blocked the cars behind me, but I didn't care. It wasn't until a traffic officer came over to check on me that I managed to pull myself together and drive away. I returned to the apartment, a place my father bought for me before I got married. After taking a shower and changing into loungewear, I hugged my teddy bear and began to space out. But less than 10 minutes later, my phone suddenly started ringing incessantly, as if it had gone mad. I didn't want to look at it or answer it, but the caller seemed relentless, not giving me a single second of peace. My head felt like it was splitting open, so I reached out to grab the phone, intending to turn it off, but then I saw a name, Ju Tong, and the fighting spirit inside me instantly revived. I clutched the phone like a cornered beast, my eyes flashing with ferocity. Did Ju Tong want to see me, Xiao Qing, make a fool of myself? Not in this lifetime. I pressed the answer button, my entire body on high alert, ready for battle. But Ju Tong's shrill voice delivered something I never expected. Xiao Qing, have you lost your mind? You actually divorced Wang Haoren for Jiyu Huaisen. I was dumbfounded. What Jiyu Huaisen? How could it be because of him? Jiyu Huaisen and I broke up centuries ago. Sure, he was my first love. But we were so young back then, what did we know about love? I had almost forgotten about him. Xiao Qing, have you lost your mind? Jiyu Huaisen just announced his breakup with Jian Lan and returned to China to start a business, and you immediately start causing trouble with Wang Haoren over a divorce. Ju Tong was incredibly agitated over the phone. Why was she so angry about my divorce? Wasn't it a good thing for her? She liked Wang Haoren so much. Xiao Qing, what gives you the right? The man I'd even throw myself at to marry. You just married him and then dumped him like it's nothing. What gives you the right? You're just a little prettier than me, a little fairer-skinned. What else do you have over me? Why did Wang Haoren, after getting his heart broken, choose to marry you instead of me when he decided to marry someone on a whim? Ju Tong ranted and raved, then started sobbing over the phone. But as I held the phone, I felt even more like crying. So everyone knew that he had suddenly decided to marry because he was nursing a broken heart. Everyone except me. I had foolishly and joyfully married him, becoming his wife, marrying him in his past. That night, I was so excited I kept tossing and turning in bed. Looking back now, it seems like the entire city of Rongqing must have been watching me like I was a fool. I hung up the phone. At this point, I couldn't even cry anymore. I stared blankly at the little bear in front of me, the one Wang Haoren had given me during our first year together, when I pestered him for a Children's Day gift. Even though he thought it was childish and absurd, he still bought this bear for me himself. I treasured it so much, hugging it to sleep every night. But now, I don't even want your dad anymore, so you, my little bear son, can get lost too. I grabbed it by the ear, scrambled to my feet, and headed for the door to throw it out. But as soon as I opened the door, I saw Jiyu Huaisen's affectionate and handsome face. He gave me a bright smile, opened his arms, and hugged me tightly. Ching ching, I'm back. And at the very moment he embraced me, the elevator behind him slowly opened, and Wang Haoren's figure gradually came into view. The little bear son in my hand fell to the floor with a soft thud. Ching ching, what's wrong? Jiyu Huaisen gently asked in a soft voice. But my entire body was stiff. I couldn't speak. Nor could I lift my hand to push him away. I could only stare blankly at Wang Haoren, whose face was expressionless. Jiyu Huaisen finally noticed something was wrong. He let go of me and turned to look behind him. When his originally gentle, smiling gaze met Wang Haoren's, the smile slowly faded from his eyes. Wang Haoren's eyes seemed to hold a thin layer of frost and snow, capable of freezing someone in an instant. Trembling, I staggered backward, wanting to close the door and hide. Jiyu Huaisen, as if eager to stir up trouble, grabbed my wrist. Instinctively, I looked at Wang Haoren. His face was terrifyingly dark, his thin lips pressed tightly together. I could even sense that he must have clenched his back teeth at that moment. Xiao Qing. Wang Haoren only called my name but said nothing more. Yet, I reacted as if electrocuted, quickly shaking off Jiyu Huaisen's hand. It's not what you think. You've misunderstood. I didn't know he was outside the door, I stammered, trying to explain. But the more anxious I became, the less coherent my words were. Wang Haoren, I don't know how to explain it. How did these two men just happen to show up one after the other like this? One is my ex-husband, whom I just divorced, and the other is my first love from my naive youth. To make matters worse, even Ju Tong thought I divorced Wang Haoren because of Jiyu Huaisen. And now Wang Haoren just happened to see me hugging Jiyu Huaisen right after the divorce. I really don't know what to do. The events of these past few days have left me utterly exhausted, on the verge of collapse. In a moment of desperation, I shouted at them, I don't care anymore, think whatever you want. After shouting, I turned to go back into the apartment, but suddenly, the world seemed to spin before my eyes. At that moment, the plots of hundreds of domineering CEO and Mary Sue novels I read in school flooded my mind. I took advantage of the situation and collapsed limply to the ground, cleverly falling toward my teddy bear. If neither of them caught me in slow motion with a 360-degree spin, I would have hurt myself. Ching ching. I closed my eyes and heard Jiyu Huaisen's anxious, panicked voice calling my name. But the embrace I fell into carried the familiar scent of tobacco and a faint hint of lime. Those arms were strong and steady, catching me firmly just as I was about to hit the ground. It was Wang Howren's embrace, and I suddenly felt completely at ease. I kept my eyes tightly shut until we got into the car. Only when Wang Howren sternly ordered the driver to go to the hospital did I slowly open my eyes. I tugged at his sleeve, and Wang Howren looked down at me. I struggled out of his arms. I was faking it. I'm fine. No need to go to the hospital. Xiao Qing. Wang Howren's face was frighteningly dark. I shifted my gaze away, avoiding his eyes. It was just a misunderstanding. I didn't know he was outside my door. As soon as I opened it, he hugged me, and I didn't have time to push him away before you showed up. You'd better explain it to me. Then, otherwise, what? I can't just be accused of cheating for no reason. I looked at him frankly. Besides, after we broke up, I never contacted him again. The divorce has nothing to do with him. Already defending him. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm just telling the truth. Xiao Qing, you'd better not be lying to me. Wang Howren's voice was icy. Since you're fine, get out of the car. My heart suddenly ached sharply, and I couldn't help biting my lip. Looking at him, his profile is just as handsome, with a sharp and smooth jawline that exudes masculinity. I especially love kissing his Adam's apple, particularly when we're intimate. Whenever I kiss his Adam's apple or gently bite his jaw, he becomes especially passionate and fierce. But now, just the thought that Lin Bailu might have touched and kissed him that night makes me feel a bit sick. I reached out, pulled open the car door, and got out without saying a word. I didn't look back, so I didn't see Wang Howren watching my retreating figure through the car window until I disappeared from sight, his gaze lingering long after. My mood remained low for a whole week. During this time, Jiyu Wei-sen tried every possible way to contact me and find me, but I refused him every time. I didn't leave the house until Anyuan invited me out for shopping and afternoon tea. We went on a crazy shopping spree, buying a huge pile of clothes and bags. Indeed, aside from shopping, the only thing that can make a woman happy is more shopping. I ordered a large taro milk tea and had just pierced the straw when a slender figure suddenly appeared in front of me. I glanced up and saw Lin Bailu looking at me apologetically. Xiao Qing, she called my name softly. I sized her up. Long black hair, a beige dress, light makeup. She wasn't stunningly beautiful, but she had a gentle, delicate appearance that men tend to like. But I'm not close to her. Why is she calling me by my name so directly? What's the matter? Can I talk to you? No, Xiao Qing, I know you hate me. Lin Bailu's voice trembled slightly. I had only said 6 words. And she was already on the verge of tears. Oh no, if she cries, won't Wang Howren come over and strangle me out of heartache? I quickly put down my milk tea and switched to a more enthusiastic tone. Miss Lin, what would you like to talk about? It looks quiet over there. Why don't we go there? Lin Bailu's eyes were red, and she nodded at me like a little white rabbit, saying obediently, okay, I'll listen to you. Anyuan and I exchanged a glance, both seeing the same word in each other's eyes. Outmatched. No wonder Wang Howren cares so much about her. Such a delicate little white lotus. If I were a man, I'd like her too. Feeling a bit sour inside, I realized that my previous attempts at acting sweet and obedient must have seemed especially ridiculous in Wang Howren's eyes. Look at how natural and subtle Lin Bailu is. No wonder, even after being married to him for over 2 years and letting him take advantage of me so many times, Wang Howren still doesn't like me. I followed behind Lin Bailu. She walked gracefully in high heels, like a delicate white lotus. I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, with my hair in a bun, looking like an underdeveloped college student. My shoulders slumped a little, feeling somewhat deflated, but in the face of a man's ultimate favor, even if I dressed as elegantly and properly as before, Wang Howren still wouldn't spare me a second glance. So, I might as well just be myself. At least I can be a little more comfortable and happy. Xiao Qing, I know it's all because of me that you and Howren got divorced. As soon as Lin Bailu stopped, she got straight to the point. Hey, this is exactly the same I've seen in hundreds of CEO novels. I smiled at her and said, yes, it's all because of you. Lin Bailu was taken aback for a moment, but soon her eyes turned red as she looked at me and gently took my hand. Xiao Qing, please don't misunderstand. Howren and I are just old classmates. He helped me out of consideration for our past friendship, And even if there was something between us, it was a long time ago. You really don't need to take it so seriously. You suddenly started talking about divorce with him. Divorce? I feel particularly guilty in my heart. If it's because of my matter that you two are having conflicts, I would deserve to die 1,000 deaths. Since you understand the reasoning, why do you still get so close to a married man, if you feel guilty? Why did you let him stay overnight at your place? Is it especially thrilling to sleep with someone else's husband? Lin Bailu was stunned again. Xiao Qing, you've misunderstood. What is there to misunderstand? You were just chatting under the covers. I was just in a bad mood because of the divorce, and on top of that, I'm not used to being back in the country. Howren was worried about me, so he stayed to look after me. Tears trembled in Lin Bailu's eyes. Xiao Qing, you must not misunderstand. Howren and I are completely innocent. We didn't do anything. Besides, if things between us were really as you imagine, I would have married him back then. Xiao Qing, Howren's career is on the rise right now. He's extremely busy. You shouldn't be causing trouble for him at a time like this. You're 25 years old now, not a child anymore. Before, Howren said you were young and didn't understand things. But you've been married to him for 2 years now. It's time you grew up. Lin Bailu earnestly advised me. If I didn't know he was my ex-husband's son, I would have been moved. Even my own father never advised me with such patience. Are you done? Anything else to add? If not, I'll take my leave first. Xiao Qing, I only mean well. I don't want to see you and your husband at odds. Howren is one of the most important people in my life, and I hope he can be happy. Wang Howren and I have already gotten our divorce certificate. If you want him to be happy, you can go be his mistress now, Miss Lin. If you marry him, he'll definitely be happy. His mother will surely be happy, and since his sister gets along well with you, she'll naturally be happy too. You'll be a happy family. The 4 treasures of auspiciousness. Go ahead, Miss Lin, sis. Go join their family and achieve the great harmony of life. I congratulate you and applaud you in advance. Mrs. Wang, I was still smiling as I looked at him, but my hands, hidden behind my back, were clenched so tightly that my delicate palms hurt terribly. No matter how much it hurt, I couldn't cry in front of him. That bastard Wang Howren actually made me out to be worthless in front of his white moonlight. Yes, I'm childish, I'm immature, I don't understand things, but who asked you to marry me? Who made you promise to treat me well, take care of me, and keep me happy and worry-free forever? Before we got married, it was you who followed me to my mother's grave, knelt down, and swore that you would cherish Qing Qing like a child. Later, it was also you who complained that I was childish and immature like a child. But in the 2 years I've been married to you, I've made breakfast every day, helped with household chores, even washed Wang Jingshuan's clothes and tidied his room, accompanied your mother shopping, carrying bags, playing cards, pouring water, and went with your father for his medical checkups, learning how to make soup when you drank and felt unwell. I made you hangover soup when you were away on business for a month. I missed you so much I cried in the middle of the night, but I didn't dare disturb your work, not even daring to call you for a video chat. After 2 years of marriage, you've spent very little time at home. My world, which once revolved around you, has shifted to revolve around your family. No matter how poorly they treated me, I endured it all because I love you. That's why I foolishly extended my love to them. My occasional small acts of willfulness, my occasional coquettishness in front of you, were nothing more than a desire for a little affection from my own husband. Yet you always seemed so indifferent, apart from when you had needs, kissing me and whispering sweet nothings. Once you got out of bed, you wore a cold, detached expression, all business and no humanity. How much more understanding and mature do I need to be? I haven't been happy at all these past 2 years. And now I've finally made the painful decision to divorce, and now your mistress has the nerve to come at me with her sarcastic remarks. Why should I put up with this? If Lin Bailu continues to provoke me like this, I really wouldn't mind going a little crazy to show you all. Even a clay figure has some temper, but Lin Bailu didn't give me the chance. Perhaps what I said just now angered her, because her face turned deathly pale, crying with an especially pitiful intensity. I had a splitting headache. I turned to Anyuan for help, but Lin Bailu reached out toward me, instinctively thinking she was about to hit me. I pushed her arm away. As a result, she staggered and then collapsed limply. Seeing this, Anyuan quickly rushed over. Just as the two of us were about to help her up, Lin Bailu clutched her lower abdomen and let out a soft moan. Xiao Qing, please, call an ambulance quickly, I'm pregnant, and I've been taking medication to prevent miscarriage. Upon hearing this, Anna immediately looked at me, and I, after a brief moment of stunned silence, suddenly realized something. Wang Haoran and she didn't just rekindle their old flame that night, they met abroad last year on my birthday. And this year Wang Haoran also went abroad on a business trip. He put so much effort into helping Lin Bailu with her divorce case, offering people, money, and energy. So, could the child in Lin Bailu's belly be his? All the strength, indifference, and carefreeness I had forced myself to maintain completely crumbled in that instant. I stood there, my vision blurring. Anyuan was terrified, shaking me repeatedly. Ching ching, ching ching, don't scare me, if you want to cry, just cry, don't be like this. Ching ching, I'm scared, my tears began to flow, but my throat felt as if it were being choked by an invisible hand. I couldn't cry out, I couldn't make a single sound, the grip was so tight I could hardly breathe. My heart felt as if it were being twisted by something, sharp and intensely painful. I didn't dare to think about those images, didn't dare to imagine him in Lin Bailu's bed. I didn't dare to think about how he kissed Lin Bailu, or how he whispered words of love to her in their intimate moments. The ambulance took Lin Bailu to the hospital. A nurse wheeled her away for examination. Perhaps because I had drunk something cold, I also felt an uncomfortable heaviness in my lower abdomen, so I went to the restroom. There was a dark red stain on my underwear. Thinking my period had arrived, I took out a spare sanitary pad and put it on. When I returned from the restroom, I saw Wang Haoran hurriedly stepping out of the elevator, striding toward the examination room, his filled with worry and anxiety. Suddenly, I felt unsteady on my feet. I slowly leaned against the wall, and only after Wang Haoran's figure disappeared did I turn around and leave, disheartened. On my way back. On the way, I received a call from my dad. Ching ching, why are you and Haoran getting divorced when everything was fine? Dad's voice sounded a bit weary. These past few years. It's only been thanks to Haoran that my business has barely managed to stay afloat. Now that you're divorcing him, several of my partnership projects have fallen through. I've suddenly lost 20 million yuan. Ching ching, what should I do now? I stood by the roadside, watching the harsh sunlight pour down from above. If a person doesn't have the fate for something, no matter what they do, it's useless. I received 20 million from the divorce, and now I'm giving it all back to my dad. But it's still not enough. Even so, it's no use. Without Wang Haoran as his son-in-law, my dad's business has plummeted. I can't bear to see him, at his age, still struggling to make ends meet. I started sending out resumes everywhere to look for a job. I studied design in college, but with little work experience, most applications were directly rejected. Fortunately, as the saying goes, when one door closes, another opens. A medium-sized advertising company hired me. Though the salary during the probation period was low, and the work was particularly demanding, my dad has always doted on me since I was little. My mom passed away early, and he refused to remarry, fearing I might be mistreated by a stepmother. He raised me all by himself, never letting me suffer even a little hardship. Because of this, I grew up a bit spoiled. The work was truly exhausting, but I gritted my teeth and endured it. However, the pain in my heart was hard to shake off. Especially since Wang Jingxian kept using other people's WeChat accounts to send me a few photos, all screenshots of Lin Bailu's social media posts. In one of the photos, Lin Bailu was gently covering her abdomen with both hands, smiling as if everything in life was peaceful and beautiful. The caption read, "All is well, and I'm grateful to have you, thankful for having someone like this, and a bond like this, always by my side." I expressionlessly blocked that WeChat account, and after that, the restless Wang Jingxian inexplicably quieted down. I started working overtime like crazy, not wanting to go back alone and overthink things, but in the middle of working overtime, I stood up to get some water and suddenly fainted. I was taken to the hospital, and when I regained consciousness midway, I called Anyuan and asked her to come keep me company. When the doctor finished the examination and told me I was 5 weeks pregnant, I was completely stunned. Anyuan was so excited that she immediately wanted to call Wang Haoran, but I tightly grabbed her hand. In his eyes, I, as a mother, I'm already insignificant, how much more so would my child be? He doesn't love me, and he won't love the child in my womb either. If I tell him, he'll just think I'm copying Lin Bailu again. Yes, he'll only think I'm even imitating her by getting pregnant. Anyuan looked at my pale face and couldn't help but cry. I wanted to comfort her. But as soon as I opened my mouth, tears suddenly welled up. I don't want this child. I don't want him to be like me, forever deprived of complete love. Yet, I can't bear to let go either. This is Wang Haoran's and my child. If it's a daughter, would Wang Haoran show her even a little affection? If it's a boy, would he grow up to be as tall and handsome as Wang Haoran? I clutched my lower abdomen tightly, curling into a ball, not daring to think any further. Jiyu Wei Sen came to the hospital to see me. Perhaps An Yuan had told him. As soon as he saw me, he straightforwardly told me that he was willing to accept the child in my belly, as long as I agreed to reconcile with him. But I refused without a second thought. Ching, can you really not forgive me? Jiyu Wei Sen stood by the bed, heartbroken. Jiyu Wei Sen, I told you before, what I hate most in this life is betrayal and abandonment. When you secretly got together with Jen Lan behind my back. You should have thought of this day. Ching, I've regretted it every single moment over the years. I truly regret it. I shook my head. Go back, Jiyu Wei Sen. It's really impossible for us. Jiyu Wei Sen slowly raised his hand and covered his face. He knew my temperament. I couldn't tolerate even a grain of sand in my eyes. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have insisted on divorcing Wang Haoran. Not long after Jiyu Wei Sen left, the door to the hospital room was pushed open again. Without opening my eyes, I spoke wearily. Jiyu Wei Sen, how many times do I have to tell you? I can't reconcile with you. But no one responded. Instead, the door to the room closed. I suddenly opened my eyes and looked toward the door. Wang Haoran was walking over. He was still wearing the black suit, shirt, tie, and belt I had chosen for him. He was also wearing glasses, likely having just come from the company. With a hint of fatigue on his face, he seemed to have lost some weight, with faint dark circles under his eyes. I turned my face away. I knew it, he must have been staying up late again, living irregularly. An Yuan said you weren't feeling well and were hospitalized. He walked over, sat down by my bed, and naturally took my hand. I was on N4, and the hand with the needle was cold. He held it tightly, his brow furrowing. Why is it so cold? I closed my eyes, wanting to pull my hand back. But he gently held it in his palm. Ching, he called my name. My nose immediately stung, and even with my eyes closed, tears began to well up, threatening to spill. The company has been especially busy lately. As you know, I didn't speak, but he continued, but I've been unable to focus on work. Ching, the reason I haven't come to see you these past few days is because I've been thinking, why did you suddenly want to divorce me? I still didn't want to speak, but tears slowly welled up. At first, I thought it was because of Jiyu Wei Sen that you insisted on divorcing me. I was angry at the time, and in a moment of confusion, I agreed. His voice even carried a hint of guilt. I couldn't help but open my eyes and look at him. Wang Haoran, I know, Ching, it's my fault. I didn't clarify things properly. He held my hand, his eyes filled with pain and tenderness. I shook my head vigorously. He didn't understand, he couldn't understand why I insisted on divorcing him. I was just that kind of stubborn person, unable to tolerate even a grain of sand in my eyes. I'd rather suffer alone to death than compromise on such matters. These 2 years after we got married, I was too focused on work and neglected you, neglected many things. I shook my head again. It's not because of work. I'm not an unreasonable child. I know how important a career is to a man. I've already arranged for Jingxian to study abroad. Her account will only receive $500 a month. Any additional expenses, she'll have to earn by working herself. I was stunned. Wang Haoran only had this one sister, and they were very close. He had always doted on Wang Jingxian. $500 might be enough for daily life for an ordinary student, but for the extravagant Wang Jingxian, it wouldn't even cover the cost of a dress. If it weren't for you wanting to divorce me, I might still be kept in the dark by her. Wang Haoran's expression was extremely grave. Yet his gaze held a hint of guilt and pity. In truth, I never blamed him for these things, because Wang Jingxian had always been a skilled actor. Whenever Wang Haoran was home, he would always put on a show of deep affection between us as sisters-in-law, And because I didn't want him to be distracted by family trivialities, I never told him about Wang Jingshuan's two-faced nature. After all, those childish antics couldn't really harm me, and I could endure them. My insistence on divorce, however, seemed to have burst this festering wound. In his arrogance, Wang Jingxian finally revealed his true colors in front of his brother. When did he ever grow up and learn to respect you as his sister-in-law? Besides, you don't have to be like this. He just doesn't like me being his sister-in-law, which isn't really a big mistake, whether he likes it or not, whether he accepts it or not. You are my only wife, Wang Haoran. But Lin Bailu, haven't you always liked her? Who told you I liked her? He frowned, unable to resist reaching out and lightly flicking my forehead. Where did you hear all this nonsense? But isn't there a photo of the two of you saved on your computer? And you helped her with her divorce case. Last year on my birthday, you said you had a business trip, but you were actually having afternoon tea with her. I didn't even get a single happy birthday from you. As I spoke, my voice choked up. I'm a stubborn and proud person. And that ridiculous sense of pride has always held me back from asking such questions out loud. The photo, yes, the one in your computer's favorites folder. She's smiling so sweetly at you in it. You mean this one? He took out his phone, opened a photo, and showed it to me. It was exactly the one saved on his computer. I nodded vigorously. That's the one. To my surprise, Wang Haoran actually smiled. He rarely smiled. He was rigid, serious, and emotionally distant. In the over 2 years I'd been married to him, the number of times he'd smiled could be counted on one hand. I couldn't help but feel a bit dazed. Wang Haoran reached up, took off his glasses, shook his head with a wry smile, and then gently stroked my hair. Silly girl. The way he said silly girl carried an indescribable tenderness, and I felt completely overwhelmed. Take a closer look at this photo. Who's in the top left corner? Hearing this, I quickly wiped away my tears and widened my eyes to look. In the top left corner, it seemed like a couple had been captured in the shot. The girl had dark blue hair, wore a crop top and a pleated skirt, a very edgy, trendy style. The boy beside her was tall, handsome, and also very fashionable. The two of them looked perfectly matched, but what caught me completely off guard was that it was me. I was stunned. How could I be in this photo? Wait, the person next to me seems to be Jiyu Wei-sen. This should be the time when I was in college and dating Jiyu Wei-sen. I was bewildered and surprised. Wang Haoran, what on earth is going on? I was back at school to take care of some business, and when I passed by the playground, I decided to take a stroll. I was about to go over and say hello when I saw you. But then your boyfriend showed up. His voice was very calm. But for some reason, I could sense a hint of jealousy. You're talking nonsense. I didn't even know you back then. We only met through a blind date. Don't try to fool me like that. Wang Haoran suddenly stared at me intently. Xiaoqing, you were the one who broke your promise first. You were the one who forgot me. I was completely confused, but Wang Haoran seemed a bit angry. He returned to his usual aloofness. If you can't remember, forget it. Just rest well, Wang Haoran. I instinctively grabbed his sleeve, wanting to act coquettishly, but then I suddenly remembered that we were already divorced. I quickly let go. Wang Haoran glanced at his watch. I have to go back for a very important meeting soon. Stay put in the hospital. I'll come pick you up this afternoon to be discharged, and then you'll come with me to see the doctor. As he stood up to leave, I couldn't hold back. Wang Haoran, is Lin Bailu really pregnant? Wang Haoran looked at me. Yes. My heart sank with a thud. Sitting on the hospital bed, wearing a blue-striped hospital gown, the loose clothing made me look especially thin and small. Wang Haoran's gaze softened. He walked over and touched my face again. Don't overthink things. Just rest well. His child, I wanted to ask, is it yours? But it felt too difficult to say. That day, we got to the hospital in time, and the baby is fine. Don't worry too much. Even if something did happen, it wouldn't be your fault. He thought I was concerned about the safety of the baby in Lin Bailu's belly. I was so angry I didn't want to speak. I pushed him away. You should hurry to your meeting. Go on. He must have been in a real hurry because he didn't say anything more, just told me to rest and left in a rush. My mind was a mess, and I couldn't stay in the hospital any longer. Besides, he was coming back in the afternoon to take me to see the doctor again, and I didn't want him to know I was pregnant, so I changed my clothes, left the hospital, and went home. Probably because of the drowsiness in early pregnancy, I took a shower, lay down, and fell asleep. When I woke up again, I faintly heard some slight movement outside. I quickly got up and opened the bedroom door. Awake, Wang Haoran stood by the dining table, looking at me. He was wearing his usual black shirt and pants, with a slender neck and waist, and no shoes on. He walked over, looked at my feet on the floor, slightly furrowed his brows, then turned to get the slippers. As he crouched down to put them on for me, I softly whispered his name, Wang Haoran. On the night Lin Bailu returned to the country, were you with her? After putting on my shoes, he pulled me to sit at the dining table before finally saying, Xiaoqing. I was working overtime at the company all night that night. I didn't lie to you. I've never lied to you. He raised his hand and gently touched my face. Xiaoqing, it's you who never wanted to believe me. Last year on my birthday, you said you had a business trip. The business trip was real. Running into him was an accident. And it was that day we met that he asked me to introduce a lawyer to handle his divorce case. That's why we've had occasional contact since then. I didn't know who to believe. Hearing him say this, I couldn't help but believe him. But what about those ambiguous words in Lin Bailu's social media posts? Suddenly, I thought of something and immediately stood up to grab my phone. I had saved all the screenshots Wang Jingxian sent me back then. Although they were unpleasant, I had never opened them. Then take a look at these, I said, opening the screenshots for Wang Haoran to see. After looking through them, he didn't say anything but took out his own phone. I watched as he clicked on Lin Bailu's profile and checked her social media. Lin Bailu's social media was set to visible for the past 6 months, but the latest post didn't appear. Clearly, she had deliberately hidden it from Wang Haoran when she posted it. I began to understand something. Even if Wang Haoran had no feelings for Lin Bailu, it was obvious that she still had feelings for him. That day when I confronted her about why she had spent the night with a married man, she was momentarily stunned before going along with what I said. Looking back now, Wang Haoran hadn't lied to me. He wasn't with Lin Bailu that night. Wang Haoran's expression turned somewhat displeased. Men clearly dislike women playing such mind games. Maybe she just wanted to rekindle an old flame with you, I said, still feeling a bit sour. After all, Wang Haoran and Lin Bailu were college classmates. And Wang Jingxian had mentioned they were once very close. What old flame? Wang Haoran looked at me with displeasure. In college, she was with my best friend, the one standing next to her in the photo, Xiaoqing. The reason I helped her was because of that connection. He looked at me deeply. Later, she passed away unexpectedly, and before she died, she asked me to look after Lin Bailu. Her husband in the U.S. was abusive and cheated on her during her pregnancy. So I lent her the top lawyer from Wang's legal department to handle the cross-border case. For a moment, I felt both regretful and guilty. I'm sorry, Wang Haoran. I thought the child she was carrying was yours. What's going on in your head all day? Wang Haoran seemed annoyed and pinched my cheek. Xiaoqing, dealing with you alone is almost more than I can handle. How would I have the energy for anyone else? His pinch hurt a little, and hearing this made me indignant. Clearly, I'm the one who can't handle you. The look in his eyes gradually changed, and I suddenly felt a bit scared, instinctively covering my lower abdomen. Since the divorce dispute started, we hadn't been intimate for a long time. I knew very well that he could be quite insatiable. I think we shouldn't rush to have dinner just yet, Wang Haoran said, picking me up and heading straight for the bedroom. My heart started pounding wildly again. As he placed me on the bed and unbuttoned his shirt with one hand, I couldn't help but wrap my arms around his slender waist, nuzzling against his chest while softly mumbling, Wang Haoran, I have a little baby in my belly. Does that mean we can't do that kind of thing right now? His fingers, which had been unbuttoning his shirt, suddenly froze. I buried my face in his chest, nervously biting my lower lip, my fingers tightly intertwined behind his waist, twisting like strands of rope. Ching-ching, his hand came down, gently pressing against the back of my head. Wang Haoran, I didn't learn from Lin Bailu, pregnancy isn't something you can just imitate. It's because you bullied me that I ended up with a baby. I nuzzled against his chest again, craving his embrace, his scent, his warmth. I had missed it all so much it drove me crazy. On the last night we were together, we ran out of condoms at home. Wang Haoran had always been extremely cautious and rigid about such matters. He had never once forgotten. But that night, for some reason, he was unusually forceful and domineering, and for the first time, He didn't stubbornly insist on using protection, even though he knew it was my safe period. But accidents happen. Now, as I carefully think back to that time, it must have been right when the news broke that Jiu Wei-sen and Jian Lan had broken up and he was preparing to return to China. His insatiable appetite that night was likely because he was jealous. A faint sweetness stirred in my heart, but I was afraid I was just being delusional. That's why this discomfort was happening. Because you're pregnant, right? He stroked the back of my head, his slender fingers sliding down my smooth hair and resting on my thin back. He held me tighter, bit by bit. You felt unwell and fainted, and only found out at the hospital. Why didn't you tell me? I was still angry with you at the time, thinking you and Lin Bailu had ended up with a child. Xiao Qing. Wang Haoran sounded both helpless and annoyed. Do you even have a clear understanding of things? What? I am your husband. Other women have nothing to do with me. Wang Haoran, then tell me, did you marry me because you like me? I was completely confused. If Wang Haoran had just said a few sweet words to me, I probably would have happily helped him count the money even if he sold me. Of course not. Wang Haoran's words snapped me out of my daydream. Because you're foolish. Wang Haoran seemed utterly exasperated. Xiao Qing, did you burn your brain from a high fever when you were a child? A man like him, with his immense capabilities, now had the entire Wang family under his control. Even if her marriage couldn't be 100% free, at least the initiative was still in her hands. Although my family wasn't poor, we were nothing compared to the Wang family. Why would Wang Haoran marry me? My father's business still relied on him, and I couldn't offer him any help. I suddenly grabbed his sleeve. Wang Haoran, you couldn't have been secretly in love with me all along, could you? That's why you kept even a photo that wasn't really a group photo. Wang Haoran suddenly lowered his head. The moment I finished speaking, he cupped my face with both hands and kissed me directly. I wanted to say something more, but he kissed me even deeper. I was soon kissed into a daze, my whole body going soft in his arms, unable to think of anything. Of course, in the end, we didn't do anything. I lay on the pillow, my face flushed red, while Wang Haoran went to the bathroom to take a cold shower, listening to the sound of rushing water. I thought of the intimate scene just now and couldn't help but bury my face in the pillow, secretly smiling. The next day, Wang Haoran took me for a prenatal checkup. As soon as we arrived at the obstetrics and gynecology department, we ran into Lin Bailu, who was also there for a checkup. Her eyes lit up at first, but when she saw me, they instantly dimmed, looking pitiful. Haoran. She quickly put on a gentle smile and walked toward us, although I really didn't like her. Because Wang Haoran kept his arm around my waist without loosening it even when Lin Bailu appeared, I had nothing to be angry about. I was never one to hold grudges, put nicely. I was carefree and easygoing, put harshly. I was just foolish, not taking it seriously even when bullied. Lin Bailu acted as if I didn't exist, talking to Wang Haoran on her own. Haoran, our university classmates are having a gathering in a few days. You'll attend, right? It's been years since I've seen our old classmates. I probably can't go. Why? Is it because the company is busy? Qing is pregnant, and I want to spend more time with her. Wang Haoran gave her a faint smile. Is there anything else? I need to accompany Qing for her prenatal checkup. Lin Bailu's face turned pale, clearly not expecting this to happen, and she was stunned for a long time without saying a word. Wang Haoran put his arm around me and walked straight toward the examination room. Lin Bailu called out again in a daze. Haoran, didn't you two get divorced? And Xiao Qing, she stammered, deliberately speaking unclearly. This was truly her usual trick. I didn't say anything. Since Lin Bailu was a problem Wang Haoran had brought upon himself, he had to clean it up himself. What do you want to say? Or do you think I, Wang Haoran, am so foolish that I can be played like a fool? Wang Haoran's words were actually quite harsh. That's not what I meant, Haoran. I'm just worried you might be deceived. Lin Bailu put on that tearful expression again. I shook my head and slowly spoke up. My husband should indeed be concerned about being deceived. Don't you think so, Miss Lin? Xiao Qing, what do you mean by that? Haoran and I have had feelings for each other for so many years. How could I possibly deceive him? I didn't say anything, just smiled and looked at Wang Haoran. After Lin Bailu finished speaking, she seemed to immediately realize she had misspoken and instantly felt a bit of regret. She added, after all, you and Dongheng were only in a relationship back then. When Dongheng passed away, he asked me to look after you, and I've done my best over the years. Miss Lin, Ching has just found out she's pregnant. She needs to rest and avoid getting upset or angry. Please don't say such ambiguous things in front of her from now on. Oh, and also, please refrain from posting those misleading moments on social media. After Wang Haoren finished speaking, without waiting for Lin Bailu to respond, he simply put his arm around me and led me into the examination room. By the time we finished the examination and came out, Lin Bailu had already left. She probably won't appear in front of you again in the future. Wang Haoren gently smoothed my hair and said, Xiao Qing, no matter what happens in the future, you must communicate with me properly first. But you were always so busy before, you'd come home late at night, and by the time I woke up in the morning, you were already off to work. I hardly ever got to see you. Perhaps because of this, he wasn't fully aware that his family didn't treat me very well. And because of his father's presence, even though his mother wasn't satisfied or fond of me, she was still polite on the surface. Wang Haoren looked at me for a moment, then suddenly pulled me into his arms. I've already had someone tidy up the villa at Plum Garden. Starting today, we'll move out and live on our own. Wang Haoren, I never expected him to say that. He's the only child, and with Wang Jingxian just sent abroad, he's the only one left by his parents' side. It was my fault before I married you but didn't protect you well, letting you suffer. Wang Haoren raised his hand, gently stroking the slightly reddened corner of my eye. Qing, I'm sorry. My tears instantly welled up. Wang Haoren, I don't blame you. I also have my shortcomings. If I were more mature and sensible, your mother might like me more, but none of that matters. As long as I like you, that's enough. Wang Haoren gently wiped away my tears, but they kept falling. Wang Haoren, am I too childish, too immature? I can't be like those other wives, gentle, mature, and capable of handling things on their own. You don't need to be like that. Just be Xiao Qing. That sounds nice. But you won't even let me dye my hair, wear shorts or short skirts. Wang Haoren suddenly smiled. He lowered his head slightly and kissed my damp eyelid, his tall nose brushing lightly against mine in an intimate gesture. Silly. Do you think any husband in this world would want his wife dressed like that for others to see? But I was wrong before. Wear whatever you like from now on, and I won't interfere as long as you're happy. There was another reason, though. Wang Haoren wasn't quite willing to let Xiao Qing know just yet. In college, Xiao Qing always dressed like a trendy girl, and Jiyu Wei Sen had a very modern, westernized personality. The two of them really looked perfect together. So, after meeting Xiao Qing through a blind date and starting to date her, Wang Haoren used a little trick and quickly got Xiao Qing to willingly change her style of dressing. Xiao Qing thought it was because Wang Yangju preferred gentle, ladylike outfits, but in Wang Haoren's eyes, it was simply about erasing every trace of Jiyu Wei Sen from Xiao Qing's life. He looked down at the girl in his arms, the one who had cried in the pouring rain while holding a rabbit at her mother's grave, the one who had softened his heart and lingered in his thoughts. She had finally become his wife and would soon become the mother of his child. He wanted her to remain forever innocent, forever childlike. He would protect all the beautiful qualities within her in the world he had built for himself. So, were you jealous? Wang Haoren, tell me, are you jealous? I tugged at his collar, shaking him playfully, still refusing to admit you're captivated by my beauty, afraid my slim waist and long legs will attract others. See, isn't that right? Are you sure you still have a slim waist now? He gently touched my still flat stomach and teased me in a whisper. That's because I'm pregnant. You can't dislike me for gaining weight during pregnancy. I was especially assertive, even deliberately puffing out my little belly. Wang Haoren, even if I get fat, you still have to like me. You must like me. I'm not afraid the baby will hear and laugh at you. Wang Haoren helplessly held my hand. Weren't you hungry and wanted hot pot? He's only the size of a soybean right now. What does he know? I held his hand, intertwining our fingers. He has always been a dignified and serious person. And I've never heard him swear. As for my slightly crude words now, he frowned but didn't say anything. I couldn't help but think back to before. Actually, many little details in our interactions could reveal it, but I just didn't pay attention. He has always been generously tolerant of me, my little willfulness, my little rudeness, my little messiness, my little absent-mindedness. Although he really doesn't spend much time at home, when I think about it carefully, every time he comes back. No matter how late, he always kisses me, even if I'm already fast asleep, and in the morning, when he leaves early for work, he always kisses me before going. In the more than 2 years since I married him, he gets up at 6 a.m. every day, but as his wife, I've rarely gotten up with him. Making him breakfast once, tying his tie once, I suddenly realized I haven't been a very good wife either. I was trapped in my own bad mood, magnifying my grievances and suspicions. While overlooking his silent efforts and tolerance, my insecurity made me unhappy and also added to his stress during his busy work, making him worry about my tantrums. The moment he got in the car, I couldn't help but gently hug him. Actually, I rarely call him husband except in bed. When he deliberately makes me call him that in moments of passion, I pressed my face against his broad back, and the sweetness in my heart gradually swallowed up the bitterness and sourness. This is my man. Xiao Qing's husband, the father of the child in my belly. How lucky I am to have married such a man. What's wrong? Are you uncomfortable? Wang Haoren seemed flustered and quickly turned around to hold my shoulders, asking softly. I shook my head and reached out for him to hold me. Before, when I wasn't sure of his feelings, I couldn't help but act spoiled with him. Now that I know he cares about me, it seems like I want to be spoiled every second. Wang Haoren held me in his arms. Why are you so fond of acting spoiled? I just want to act spoiled with you. I didn't dare before, didn't dare. I wonder who's been acting spoiled from the day we got married until now. I haven't you? Every time, it's you crying in my arms, accusing me of bullying you. You did bully me. Don't take your blessings for granted. Give this blessing to someone else. Don't even think about it. This blessing is only for you. Wang Haoren kissed me. Let's go eat first. After we finish eating, we'll go home and settle this properly. He took me to eat hot pot. Although he doesn't like places with heavy oil fumes, because I like it, he accepted it. Just as we were finishing our meal and preparing to leave, I ran into Ju Tong. She had come for hot pot with a few of her close friends. At first glance, she noticed Wang Haoren and me holding hands tightly, and her lips immediately pursed, her eyes turning red. I've been Wang Haoren's wife for over 2 years now. How come he still hasn't gotten used to it? Ju Tong glared at me angrily, looking like a little pufferfish, which was actually kind of cute. What's going on? To be honest, even though we've never really gotten along, Ju Tong isn't the type to scheme behind people's backs, so our arguments have never escalated into any deep-seated grudges. It's just that since we were kids, I've always enjoyed teasing her, and today was no exception. As I walked up to her, Ju Tong glared at me and asked, Xiao Qing, have you two made up? I nodded and said, yeah, we've made up. Despite her anger and jealousy, Ju Tong still managed to say, well, at least you're not completely hopeless. By the way, you mentioned on the phone earlier that Wang Haoren got his heart broken back then and just married someone on a whim. Ju Tong glanced at Wang Haoren nervously, as if wanting to explain something, but I continued triumphantly. Sorry to say, but it seems like his heartbreak back then was because of me. What did you say? Ju Tong clearly didn't believe it, her eyes widening in disbelief. Keep your voice down. Don't scare the little one in my belly. I quickly covered my stomach with both hands and snuggled into Wang Haoren's arms. Wang Haoren was more than willing to play along, wrapping me in his embrace. Xiao Qing, you're pregnant. Ju Tong was clearly shocked. Didn't they say Wang Haoren doesn't like you and doesn't want to have children with you? Who said that? Before I could even react, Wang Haoren seemed to get angry first. His expression turned cold, and Ju Tong was so frightened she started stammering. I all said so. Wang Jingxian said it too. I just heard it. It wasn't me who started it. Do you think I, Wang Haoren, would marry a woman I don't like? Ju Tong quickly shook her head, looking like she was about to cry. I reached out and tugged on Wang Haoren's sleeve. Alright, I'm getting sleepy. Let's go home first. Wang Haoren didn't say anything else and just wrapped his arm around me as we left, still in his embrace. I turned back and said to Ju Tong, actually, you're really beautiful. I'm sure there will be a great man who will love you wholeheartedly. Ju Tong, used to fighting with me, instinctively wanted to retort, but she held back because of Wang Haoren. It seems like people immersed in happiness become especially kind and easygoing. I was even willing to bless my lifelong rival, Ju Tong. When I was 3 months pregnant, the doctor said my pregnancy was going very well. The fetus was developing nicely, and he subtly hinted that I could resume intimacy with Wang Haoran, but I felt a bit embarrassed because my belly had already started to show a slight bulge. And my waist was no longer as slender as before. That night, after Wang Haoran helped me take a bath and we returned to the room, I hid under the covers, refusing to show my face. It wasn't until Wang Haoran finished his shower and came over, lifting the blanket, his body still carrying the cool, fresh scent of the bath, that I shyly avoided looking at him, even though we had already been intimate countless times before. In that moment, it felt like I was back to our first time together. A long, long time passed, until the faint sound of rain seemed to patter against the window outside. Only then did everything come to a stop. I nestled lazily in his arms, not wanting to speak, enveloped by his comforting presence, which made me feel so safe. Wang Haoran, what do you think about naming our baby Little Soybean? Does it sound a bit odd? But it's so cute. Little Soybean will grow into a delicious soybean sprout, just like how he's sprouting inside me now. We'll have to give him a more formal, grander name later, and I'll leave that to you since you've studied more than I have. Feeling drowsy, I yawned in his arms, hugged his waist, and mumbled, I'm so tired. When Little Soybean is born, I'm going to tell on you to the baby. His dad is always bullying his mom. After saying that, I seemed to fall asleep, so I didn't hear Wang Haoran whisper in my ear, silly, it's because I love you, because I adore you, that I always want to tease you like this. Side story, when I was 16, my dad grew very close to an auntie and even considered marrying her. It wasn't that I opposed my dad remarrying, I just couldn't accept that the person he wanted to marry was the woman my mom had disliked the most when she was alive. My mom had told me that this woman had always liked my dad, but my dad only had eyes for my mom. When they were about to get married, this woman even tried to drive a wedge between them, making my mom misunderstand my dad and call off the engagement. But my dad, being the straightforward guy he is, couldn't see through her schemes. Later, my parents got married and had me. A few years later, that woman gave up and married someone else. But now, after getting divorced, she returned to Rongcheng. Hearing that my dad hadn't remarried since my mom passed away from illness, she immediately sought him out. I couldn't accept it no matter what. But during that time, my dad seemed to be under some kind of spell. He even lashed out at me when I argued with him. That was the first time I was ever hit. Crying, I ran out of the house and braved the rain to visit my mom's grave at the cemetery. I cried for a long time in front of her tombstone, holding my favorite rabbit, the one I had rescued, who, like me, was a little wild rabbit without a mother. I had raised it bit by bit, cherishing it deeply. Neither of us had a mother anymore. Before, I was a bit luckier than you because I still had a dad, but now I don't even have a dad. From now on, it'll just be the two of us depending on each other. That was also the first time I met Wang Haoran. At the time, we were the only two people in the entire cemetery visiting our loved ones in the rain. Perhaps because I was crying so pitifully, Wang Haoran heard me and walked over. He held an umbrella for me and used his handkerchief to wipe the rain and tears from my face, clutching my rabbit. I sobbed and asked him, Big brother, do you think children without mothers are especially pitiful? Other children can cry in their mother's arms when they feel wronged, but I can only cry in front of my mother's tombstone and photos. Be strong. If your mother knew how heartbroken she would be for you. She looked at me, her eyes filled with pity. But I don't want to be strong. Why must I always be strong? Without a mother, do I not even have the right to cry when I'm wronged? What's your name? Xiao Qing. Good, Xiao Qing. If you ever feel wronged again in the future, come and tell me. Okay, big brother. Is that really okay? Of course. Whenever you need me, I'll be there for you. Wang Haoran, 22 years old, had just lost his grandparents who loved him the most. Overwhelmed by grief and unable to pull himself out of it, he gently embraced the wronged and disheveled girl Xiao Qing in the rain. They were like two pitiful souls adrift on an endless sea, offering each other the only bit of warmth they had in that moment, on that day. But Wang Haoran didn't know the reason why I never called or looked for him. After returning from the cemetery, I didn't go home. Instead, I went alone to the apartment my mother had left me before she passed away. By the time my father found me, I had been running a high fever for a day and a night from getting caught in the rain, and I was almost delirious when I woke up in the hospital. It was already 3 days later. My clothes had been changed and washed by the housekeeper, and the little note Wang Haoran left had long since disappeared. I always felt like I had forgotten something, but I thought it was just a dream I had while I was feverish. After I recovered from my illness, I completely forgot about that encounter. What I didn't know was that this illness had indeed taken a toll on my health. My father deeply regretted it after figuring out the reason for my resistance. He broke up with that woman and began to shower me with extra love and indulgence. Besides his guilt, it was also because my personality had changed after the illness. I used to be delicate, sensitive, and mature for my age, but after recovering, I became like a carefree child, cheerful every day. Even my longtime rival, Ju Tong, no longer received the same hostile attitude from me. I am fortunate to have a father who truly cherishes his daughter. And even more fortunate to have married a man willing to protect my childlike innocence for a lifetime. As for myself, I might have remained in the dark forever, unaware that I am not a truly healthy woman in the conventional sense. But no matter what, I have lived a particularly happy and fulfilling life. Later, when our little Huangdo turned 3, I became pregnant again and gave birth to a beautiful daughter. I gave her the nickname Yaya, and she loves us even more than our son. Wang Haoran, my father says Yaya looks exactly like I did when I was little, unbelievably pretty and adorable. By then, I was already a mother of 2, but in front of Wang Haoran, I became even more delicate and prone to acting spoiled. I even got a little jealous and upset because he doted on Yaya so much. To the point where I cried. That night, I blocked the door to the master bedroom and refused to let him in. Wang Haoran tried to coax me for a long time, but when nothing worked, he finally told me he would trade a secret for me to open the door. I opened the door and pressed him about what the secret was. Then he told me about the first time we met. Halfway through, I started crying. I missed my mother and the rabbit that had been my only companion. We had been caught in the rain together. And I had survived, but it had left me forever. But what I missed even more was the Wang Haoran from back then. The 22-year-old Wang Haoran who held me in the heavy rain and let me cry my heart out. If only I hadn't forgotten him. If only we had fallen in love from that moment on, how wonderful would that have been? 6 years had passed just like that. Ching ching. Wang Haoran cupped my face and gently kissed away my tears. Do you know I've been waiting for you since you were 16? I waited for you to call me, to look for me, until finally, it felt like I had given up in my heart. Later, when I saw you at school, you already had a boyfriend. I walked right past you, and you didn't even glance at me. Your heart and eyes were completely filled with Gu Wei Sen. Do you know how jealous and envious I felt? After that, I accidentally found out that the girl I was set up with for a blind date was named Xiao Qing. I thought to myself, I'll go, just to see, maybe it's you. He held me tightly in his arms, as if embracing a long-lost treasure. It's really you, it's truly you, he sighed softly, his fingers gently stroking my tear-stained cheeks. The moment I saw you, I wanted to marry you, to keep you by my side forever. Wang Haoran, I stood on my tiptoes, wrapped my arms around his neck, and kissed him through my sobs. You have to love me the most, forever and always. You can't love Yaya more than me. Okay. Wang Haoran lowered his head to respond to my kiss. Wang Haoran loves Xiao Qing the most in this lifetime. Loves Xiao Qing the most. You're a bad guy. How am I a bad guy? I was only 16 back then. You're a pervert. I started acting spoiled and unreasonable with her again. Tell me, weren't you just coveting my beauty? I was really pretty back then. And many boys at school had a crush on me. You were indeed very pretty. But in a place like a cemetery, wearing a white dress, I was quite scared at first. I thought you were a female ghost from Strange Tales from a Chinese studio *. Wang Hao ran. I got so angry I jumped up and hit him. Wang Haoran looked at me, his eyes filled with a doting and indulgent smile. But even if you really were a ghost and I had to be drained of my young energy by you, Wang Haoran, would accept it. He bent down and picked me up. Aren't you ashamed? You're already a mother, yet you're still competing with your own daughter for attention and crying over it. What can I do? It's all because I love you too much. Xiao Qing, I love you too, even more and earlier than you love me.